Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Acha, have you wondered that you have people like Sundar Pichai as the head of Google, you have Satya Nadella as the head of Microsoft, you have a lot of Indians heading huge conglomerate. Very good and very proud. But have you wondered why don't we have a Google in India? Have you wondered why we haven't created a Microsoft in India? Let's talk about that. And that's my topic number one. My topic number two is Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan tweeted saying that no one committing crimes against women will be spared on Madhya Pradesh soil. He was showing a video wherein a bulldozer is crushing a house. Let's talk about that. Let's get right to the show.
Hi, you have been watching our videos on hwnews English. But why be content with content in just one language when you can choose from both? Yes, from 1st of January, we are bringing together the repository of our ground reports, interviews and analysis under the umbrella of HW News Network. So, while HW News English will stay as it is, you will now be able to watch our Hindi and English reportage together. So don't forget to watch HW News Network from 1st of January.
So this year, under the leadership of India, Shri Narendra Modi, the G20 summit had put a lot of emphasis on innovation, research and development. Now, I'll tell you why G20 was speaking about research and development. G20 was speaking about research and development is because these 20 countries in G20, let me tell you, there are 195 countries in totality. Okay, out of these 195 countries, these 20 countries that were attending the G20 summit in India are the countries that spends 90.6% of the total GERD of the world. Now, what is GERD? GERD is a term by UNESCO's Institute of Statistics, that is UIS, wherein GERD stands for Gross Domestic Expenditure on Research and Development. Gross Domestic Expenditure on R&D. Now, I started my topic why am I talking about R&D and all? I will tell you. See, it is very simple. You see, sustainable growth for the future, steady growth for a country, to be actually a Vishwaguru, you need to have innovations. A Google happened in United States because United States spends hell of a lot of money on innovations, on R&D. Countries with a foresight to become global leaders has to spend money on R&D. And that is why we are talking about R&D. And that is why I started my editorial by saying that while we have built a Satya Nadella and a Sundar Pichai, we couldn't build a Microsoft or a Google. The reason is because possibly we have not spent enough on research and development. That's the point I was trying to make. Now, mind you, it is not that India has not attempted or India has not thought of it. It was not that. Narendra Modi in 2016 had announced the Atal Innovation Mission, AIM, wherein he said that India is going to focus on innovating, is going to focus on R&D, but somewhere down the line, it has not resulted into much. That's the point. Because somewhere down the line, we couldn't focus much on AIM. Now, it is not all that simple either. It is not that one can just blame a government and say that, or blame a prime minister or blame anybody and say that nahi chal raha hai, wo bhi nahi hota hai. That is also not fair. And I will tell you why that is not fair. You see, innovation, R&D and welfare, somehow global economy, there is a conflict. Because the moment you need to do welfare projects in your country, the first thing you compromise is R&D, research and development. So every time you add on a welfare, you give a freebie, you sacrifice an innovative product, you sacrifice research and development. That's how you normally maintain your balance. And that's the way it works in India too. So one of the ways for us to increase our R&D is to ensure that we compromise a bit on our welfares and our subsidies. That's the way one compromises. So once you compromise on subsidy, then you blame the government for compromising on subsidy. And when you don't do R&D, you blame the government on not doing R&D. But somewhere down the line, you need to have a middle way. You need to have a middle path. Because if you don't have a middle path, this concept of Vishwaguru that we are talking about, वो सब नहीं होने वाला. वो सब नहीं होने वाला. Because see, as on today, हम खाते हैं, बनाते हैं, खाते हैं. So that's what we do. We are not futuristic. We are not thinking of what is going to happen in the future. There is no futuristic plan. There is no growth trajectory that we have planned up. I'll give you an example. You see, I spoke about the G20. Now, let me tell you some of the figures that the kind of money that G20 countries spend versus, so I'm going to give you the percentage versus their GDP. South Korea spends 4.43% of their GDP on R&D. South Korea. I'm not talking about US, South Korea. Why? Because that's their vision. That's their vision to be whatever they have to be in 2035, 2050. That's their vision, and that's why they're spending this kind of money. Japan spends 3.21%. They're number 2. Germany spends 3.09%. USA, even today, with this kind of huge economy, even today, it spends 2.83% of its economy on R&D, on innovation and R&D. France spends 2.19% of their economy, and China spends 2.14% of their economy. And these are the top 6 countries, the money they spend on R&D. Now, mind you, India, we spend a mere 0.65%. 0.65%, and we are 17th among the 20 countries. 3 countries below us are Argentina, Mexico and Indonesia. Indonesia, the last, spends 0.23%. We spend 0.65%. This is the status. So this concept of superpower, this concept of being a Vishwaguru does not come by increasing our military. It does not come by increasing our military alone, rather, let me put it that way. It does not come by increasing our military alone, or it does not come by even increasing our trade alone. It comes by an innovative society that you build. And for that innovative society that you envisage in 2030, you need to start building it today. You need to invest in R&D today. That's the importance of R&D, and that's something that I wanted to get to your notice, because each of these things are important for our national growth. And like I always say, I would like to get topics in front of you that matters to this nation. R&D, innovation matters to this nation today, for your kids and for your grandkids and for your grandkids. That's how important innovation is. Let's get into my next topic. There was a viral video in social media where a man was hitting his girlfriend, I presume. He was beating up his girlfriend. Now, the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, tweeted a video of a bulldozer bringing down that man's house, the man who was beating up his girlfriend, bringing down that man's house, and he mentioned no one committing crime against women will be spared in Madhya Pradesh soil. That is what he said. Now, this is okay. You know, vigilantism sounds very good. That you beat a girl, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is unbecoming of a man, to say the least. But the fact remains that, is this the way you are going to punish a culprit? Is this the way you are going to punish somebody who commits a crime? By breaking his house? By hitting him back? What kind of a country are we, and what kind of law and order are we following? You see, while it may sound and look good that somebody committed a crime, and such a heinous crime like beating up a woman, correct? It may sound and look good when you go back and beat him up and, break his house and break his family and all of that. It may sound good, but is this where you want our democracy to go? Which means that tomorrow a cop, if he thinks that you have committed a crime, will remove a gun and boom, shoot you. And he will say, okay, encounter ho gaya. End of story. What happens then? So slowly but steadily, your agencies, your central agencies, your enforcement agencies will start becoming the judge, the police, the everything. Is this the country you want to wake up in tomorrow morning? And that's the question. Now, this is deeper rooted, and I will tell you why this is deeper rooted. You see, everything is linking up. The government is trying to exercise more power on recruitment of judges. Like they have the power of recruitment of ED head, CBI head, income tax head, police head, so on and so forth. What happens when they have all these rights with them? When they have all these rights to transfer? I have said this many a times. What happens if you have that kind of rights? You control those agencies. Today the government can control central agencies. The government can control the whichever government that is, whether it is BJP government or whichever government of that state, can control the police force. Why? Because they are the people who looks after the transfer, promotion, increment, everything of the police. And likewise on the central agencies. Now imagine this happening in the judicial system. And then on another end, you have chief ministers and state breaking people's houses, sending bulldozers and breaking people's houses because they believe that they have committed a crime. Of course, you should be punished if you have committed a crime. But our system doesn't allow whips. Our system doesn't allow chopping of hands and legs. Our system has a court. Our system has hearing. Our system needs witnesses. Our system has something called as Indian Penal Code. You go by that system. You go by that book. That book is sacrosanct. If all that is thrown out the window and it's the government that's going to take care of everything, then you have a problem because then you become an autocratic state. Then there is no difference between a dictator-driven state and a democratic state like ours. So the point is, I think judiciary should be kept out of government bounds. Whatever it is not that, therefore, I believe that judiciary is absolutely spick and span and clean. I am not saying all of that. But I am saying if government has the power to even manipulate the judiciary, then there will be no fair practice at all. It will be all biased, good, bad, ugly, but it will be the way the government wants it. This is not how law should work. And this is what the government believes, that the way law is going to happen in this country, then that is scary. So that's my point today. Do subscribe to our channel. Do pick up a package from our website. Help us to run our show. That's one. Secondly, like I told you before, I repeat myself, our channels. We have one channel, that is hwnews Network. That was our first channel, which is, I'm sure somebody is showing it to you on my screen. This channel, we are going to have now the repository of all our shows, English and Hindi, both in this particular channel, the way it was, like when we started off. So, but that doesn't mean that English channel will stop functioning. English channel will function the way it is. Hindi channel will be functioning the way it is. We have a new Hindi channel now. It's exclusively Hindi. So you have an exclusive Hindi channel, you have an exclusive English channel, but in this particular channel, our flagship channel that we started first, you will find both our programs. That's what I want to end this editorial with. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 p.m. Till then, namaskar.
To know about the latest updates on our new news app, go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.